I picture this. You are an American, a citizen, returning home from travel abroad, and you get flagged in the airport by U.S. Customs for a secondary inspection. The authorities seize your phone before allowing you to technically enter the country. You've landed, but you haven't entered the country formally. That's what Atlanta resident Samuel Tunick said happened to him. According to his lawyer, U.S. agents demanded that he give up his phone's passcode. We're going to discuss in a moment what authority they have to make that demand. But instead, he gave them a so-called duress passcode, which triggers software on the device that immediately wipes the contents of the phone. His lawyer says he was then subject to unlawful detention, never read his rights, and denied repeated requests to speak to a lawyer. And he's now been charged with a federal felony that could put him in prison for 5 years under a little-known and rarely used law that forbids the, quote, destruction or removal of property to prevent seizure, end quote. Essentially, it makes it a crime to destroy property if the government is attempting to seize that property. The New York Times reports that the law has been used once in the last 30 years for a case involving drug trafficking. But Tunick says his case has nothing to do with drugs. Instead, he claims he was targeted because of his political activism against a plan to build a police training center near Atlanta. You may have heard about it. It's known as Cop City. Now, plenty of Americans might consider it a pretty basic security protocol to have software which wipes your phone, which is particularly useful if your phone gets lost or stolen. In fact, most of us, if not all of us, have the ability to wipe our phones remotely. But in this case, it could cost Samuel Tunick up to 5 years in prison. Joining me now is Matthew Dodge. He's a lawyer representing Samuel Tunick. Matthew, I want to start by saying the Department of Justice has dropped its charges against this former Olympian for ripping up the pool in a case that they said that they had an ironclad case. So, sometimes good things happen. But what is this about? Tell me what happened here.
Well, Ali, thank you very much for having me on the show to talk about this case. Sam moved to Atlanta several years ago in order to join the social justice movement that's come to be known as Stop Cop City. And he peacefully protested and supported the movement for these several years. Federal agents have been investigating Stop Cop City for several years and have indicted a number of people for various crimes. They've never charged him with a crime at all. And they have been surveilling him and they've been harassing him along the way. But they have never sought a warrant with the judge to search his phone or to arrest him until they manufactured and cherry-picked this event at the airport last year that's led to this federal charge.
So let me understand this. If they wanted information in his phone and felt that there was a legal reason to have it, they could have served him with a subpoena. They could have done a million things. Why use this unusual situation where you're coming into the country before you go through customs and immigration?
Well, as you said, the federal agents have had every opportunity to follow the Constitution and ask a judge for permission to arrest Sam or search his phone. They chose the airport because under federal law, we have diminished constitutional rights at the border. And the Atlanta airport is considered a border because of the international flights coming in and out of there. So the federal agents who've been harassing and sort of targeting and criminalizing the Stop Cop City social justice movement reached out to the Customs and Border Patrol officers working at the airport and told them one day, Sam Tunick is flying in. We've put him on a watch list. We, as the federal agents, just on our say-so, have placed Sam's name on a terror watch list. And that's created all kinds of disruption and inconvenience in Sam's life. And they asked the Border Patrol agents to do one job that day. They said, we want you to detain Sam, put him in an interrogation room, and question him. And most of all, get his phone and get into his phone. We want to see what we can find. And that's exactly what the Border Patrol agents did. They brought Sam in custody, getting off his flight, coming through customs. They put him in an interrogation room that looks like any interrogation room in a police TV serial. And they questioned him. They lied to him. They did not tell him why they detained him. They made up a cover story to try to get him to open up to them. And Sam stood his ground. He told the agents, I'm not going to talk to you. I have a lawyer. I'd like to talk to my lawyer. I'd like to leave. And they simply refused. The agent said, we want to search your bags. And Sam said, well, no, I'm not giving you permission to do that. The agents searched the bags anyway, and they found nothing improper or illegal. Then the agent said, we want to pat you down and search your clothing. Sam said, no. Again, they found nothing wrong. And finally, they got to the mission at hand, which was the cell phone. And as you said a moment ago, Ali, the agents seized the phone and demanded permission to enter the phone and see what they could find.
So this is you make an important point that I think people have to recognize. When your plane lands in the United States, Atlanta, Newark, LAX, whatever the case is, you have diminished rights until you formally enter the country. Even though you're in Atlanta and you're at the airport, until you've gone through customs and immigration, they have certain rights that they don't have when you're in the streets of America. Generally speaking, it would not be considered an offense. I can sit here while I'm on the phone with you and wipe my phone. And that would not be, there's no offense there at all. This is my property, my information. I can wipe my phone. Why did Sam erasing his phone trigger this very unusual law that they've charged him under?
Well, it's a pretext. These federal agents have been investigating the Stop Cop City social justice movement for years, and they targeted a group, and then they targeted this person in the group. And once they detained him, they had to go in search of a crime to charge him with. As you said earlier, Ali, this is the second time that the federal government in our district in Atlanta has charged this very obscure statute. The question that you asked kind of leads me to ask you a question, Ali. You're a journalist. You've got your phone. I've got my phone. I'm a lawyer. Imagine all of the private data on there that we don't want to just hand over to a stranger. You've got your source contacts in your phone. You've got your show notes for the show. You've got your personal stuff, your bank records, your messages from your doctor on your hospital portal. You've got family photographs. And imagine being told by a total stranger that you've got to hand that over. And then imagine that stranger is a federal agent who's been investigating your advocacy group for years. I think about this moment. What's happened here is the fact that someone has decided to protect his own private data has led him to be charged with a federal crime. It's wild.